First up, Winona Ryder. We're not sure if this one is true, but tabloid site Gossip Cop revealed that secretly Drew Barrymore hates Winona and refuses to have Winona on her daytime show. The reason for this big feud is none other than relationship drama with Tom Green, Barrymore's ex-husband. Tom Green and Drew had a short marriage that ended in 2002, but even though they were split up, Drew was reportedly furious when Green and Ryder started up a fling in 2008. Sources say Green and Ryder never confirmed their relationship, but it was a well-kept secret among celebrities. According to the report, the two women have been at odds since the 1990s when they were vying for the same roles in films. And since they were never really friends in the first place, Barrymore does not feel like she needs to invite Winona on her show. The source revealed that Drew's team knows not even to bring up Winona as a possibility when guests are needed for the show, because Drew would never be able to pretend that she liked her. According to an article, quote, "This incident added to the disagreement between Drew and Winona, which has existed for the majority of their lives." Next up, Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen DeGeneres has been exposed for being very different from her persona as the nice lady of daytime TV. And shockingly, her and Drew Barrymore got in a major feud, which is interesting because Drew is also universally known as nice. It's been rumored that this feud started way back when they were co-producing a show together, and they've been on the rocks ever since, as one source told In Touch Weekly in 2017. The women joined forces for NBC reality show First Dates, looking like more of a docu-series than a traditional reality show. The summary of the show said it's a, quote, groundbreaking series that explored all of the simple wonders of a first date. No competition, no eliminations, just a first date. Where it goes from there, it's up to you. DeGeneres signed on as the show's executive director, and Barrymore agreed to narrate the series. But almost immediately the pair butted heads, and neither star wanted to make any compromises. A source said, quote, "Ellen expected to be the one calling the shots, but Drew thinks she should have creative control because she's the movie star that people are turning in to see." The source hinted that Drew was the one overstepping, as executives always take precedent over the stars. In the end, the show only lasted one season, so clearly there were issues that needed resolving. The real question here is who was in the wrong? We know that Ellen was mean to her employees and everyday people, but no other celebrity has said a bad word about her, while everyone seems to say nice things about Drew. Barrymore is even thought to be, quote, one of the sweetest, most down-to-earth stars around, according to Bustle, who included the actress in their list of the absolute nicest celebrities in showbiz. I guess we might never know the true story behind this one. Next up, Kelly Clarkson. Kelly Clarkson is another A-list star that Drew has allegedly feuded with. If you don't already know, both 90s icons now have daytime talk shows, and that has created some tension between them. Apparently, after Drew decided to start up her daytime show, she enlisted the help of some of her A-list friends to help her score the top rating spot. Apparently, Drew asked her friends to not go on Kelly's show and instead to be exclusive to Drew. Inside sources told the outlet that the ET actress is the favorite host among celebrities. Once Ellen officially steps down and Kelly takes her time slot, things will get really competitive. Drew's A-list friends are seriously old school about this stuff, and they're going to band together to give her all the support she needs. This source also claimed that these A-list friends include Cameron Diaz, Reese Witherspoon, and Hugh Grant. The source added, quote, "Drew's got a ton of loyalty in the movie industry her rival will never have. She's got the whole of Hollywood on her contact list." The source said that Kelly's lineup of guests is interesting, but not to the level that Drew can pull. Everyone's waiting for Ellen to leave, but people are placing their bets on Drew, and they think she'll be the ratings grabber. Currently in the ratings war, Kelly is the winner, and Clarkson is set to take Ellen's coveted spot when Ellen's show ends next season. But Barrymore's ratings are climbing, so who knows what the future might hold. Jade Barrymore. A lot has been said about Jade Barrymore, and honestly, not a lot of it is good. It's been reported that after Drew got addicted to substances when she was a Hollywood child star, her mother did nothing to stop it, and even encouraged the behavior by taking her to Studio 54. But when she was only 13, Jade decided Drew needed a serious wake-up call, and forced her to stay in treatment programs to set her straight. After Drew moved out of her mother's house, started partying out of control, and got in a life-threatening car crash, Drew's mom knew she needed to do something. Although Drew does not blame her mother now, she knows the decision to put her in treatment probably saved her life. When speaking about the treatment, Drew said, quote, "I was in a place for a year and a half called Van Nuys Psychiatric, and you don't mess around in there, and if you did, you would get thrown either in a padded room or get put in stretcher restraints and tied up." Drew admitted that since she started making money so young, she had tons of money and fame to use to her advantage. At the time, she was not going to school, sneaking out to clubs, and stealing her mom's car. Drew exposed that she was in this treatment center for 6 to 8 months. During the first 6, she said she was incredibly angry about the whole situation, but now she knows it was the best move. Drew added, quote, "I think after, 30 years of therapy and a lot of soul searching and having kids myself, I think she created a monster. She probably felt like she had nowhere to turn. And I'm sure she lived with a lot of guilt for years about creating the monster, but then I think she lived in a lot of pain, and I also wouldn't talk to her for a long time." Steven Spielberg. If you didn't already know, legendary director Steven Spielberg is the godparent of Drew. Since Drew did not grow up with her father in her life, Spielberg was a huge father figure. Drew even said he was the first person in her life to truly care about her. And of course, he did not always agree with her choices, specifically when she was spinning out of control in her teen years. When Drew was 19, she posed nude for the January 1995 issue of Playboy. In response to the images, Spielberg sent Drew a message that she would never forget. For her 20th birthday, Spielberg reportedly sent her the photos, photoshopped to show her wearing clothes in them. He also sent her a quilt. Along with the goods was a note that read, quote, "Cover yourself up." Clearly a message that Drew took to heart and held her accountable for her actions at that time. But thankfully, the two are on great terms today and still see each other often. While he was doing an interview on her show, Spielberg said, quote, "I've always cared about you ever since the first time this little blonde hurricane walked into an audition in my office and took us by storm, and then soon took the entire world by storm. This was you then, and this is you today." Barrymore explained how important it is to her to always make Spielberg proud. Quote, "I always thought every time I was doing something good or right, I would always think about how you would think or feel about it because I loved making you proud," she said to Spielberg. And finally, Drew Barrymore herself. Drew Barrymore has been more open than anyone about her regrettable past, and she's done a lot of work to improve her life and image. In her memoir called Wildflower, Drew spoke about some of the worst experiences of her life. At one point, she was so out of control, she said she was, quote, "hungry for anarchy." She told a story about befriending a rock band at a hotel, and after the show, while the group was drunk, they decided to raid the hotel and throw people's luggage over the balcony, randomly stealing people's hanging laundry bags off their doors while screaming through the hallways. Revealing, quote, "In an effort to take this crazy stunt higher, we found a bunch of open doors as people were partying in the hotel, and we threw their clothes off the balconies. She was having a great time until she saw that some of the clothes fell into a river and sank in the water. She started throwing a pair of sandals from a balcony, and that's when she felt a lot of regret. Wondered what the person would wear on their feet now." Writing in the book, quote, "I knew immediately this was so wrong and I hated myself." She added that she wound up in her room scolding herself and vowed to never F anyone over like that again. And as a result of that night, Drew thinks she is cursed with karma because she is well known for always losing her clothes.
Starting off this countdown, we have Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen went after Bieber, a fellow Canadian, during an interview with Howard Stern. He said, and I quote, "Bieber is a good example of someone who you meet and you think you're gonna hate him, and then you get to hate him as much as you thought." Yikes, what did Bieber do to him? Well, apparently the two first met at a German talk show when Justin asked if they could meet. They did, but then apparently Justin acted like Seth was the one that wanted to meet him. He said, "It was very weird." He said, and I quote, "What the F? I don't want to meet you. Don't act all nonplussed to meet me. I didn't want to meet you. I was totally cool not meeting you, but I was like, fine. I wouldn't have said anything. I was like, he's a bit of a mother effer. Whatever. He's young. The kid's a dick." That's right, folks. Seth Rogen called Justin Bieber a dick. In our 9th spot, we have Kate Moss. In 2014, Bieber and Orlando Bloom got in a heated argument at a nightclub. I'll talk about that more in depth later, but it resulted in the two taking swings at each other. Well, a few days later, after the incident, Justin Bieber approached Kate Moss, and she was not too thrilled about it. She apparently went off at him, telling him that he needs to behave and smarten up. Apparently, Justin had gone up to her expecting her to gush all over him, and instead, she really just gave it to him, which is pretty embarrassing if you ask me. Coming in at number 8, we have Marg Helgenberger. Back from 2010 to 2011, Justin Bieber made an appearance on the show CSI, playing serial killer Jason McCann. Well, according to CSI actress Marg Helgenberger, Justin Bieber acted like a brat on set. Not only that, but according to her, he locked one of the producers in a closet and also just put his fist through a cake that was on the table. Imagine that, just wanting a slice of cake and then Justin Bieber Bieber just goes BAM! Coming in at number 7, we have Team USA and Team Canada. Imagine having 2 Olympic hockey teams against you. That's wild. In 2014, the 2 teams squared off for the Olympic hockey semifinals, during which there was a billboard present that said, "Loser keeps Bieber." Now, some of you may know Bieber was born and raised in Canada, but currently lives in America. Imagine having a whole hockey team trying to get rid of you, just like not wanting to claim you. That's the definition of awkward. In our 6th spot, we have Ronda Rousey. It's so random how all these celebrities just hate Justin Bieber. Like, out of all people to piss off, a UFC star? I don't know. Basically, Rousey admitted to Cosmopolitan that he was rude to her little sister at the Cannes Film Festival. Apparently, she tried to get him to take a pic with her little sister, who was a huge fan and totally starstruck, and he declined, saying, and I quote, "I've already taken 1 billion pictures today, okay?" Imagine how that little girl must have felt. Like, there's her idol, and he just shuts her down because he took too many photos. Ronda later said, "Yeah, I don't think I'd want to hang out with him. I'm not a believer. I was, but not anymore." We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Jon Bon Jovi. Jon Bon Jovi had a lot to say about Bieber when he heard that he showed up 80 minutes late to his show in London. He said, and I quote, "Every generation has guys that do that. None of that is new. Do it once, you can be forgiven. Do it enough times and shame on you. They won't have you back. Then it becomes a cliche. It's really not cool. You're an a-hole. Go to effing work." So Bon Jovi did not hold back on that one. But someone had to say it. Bieber definitely let his fame get to his head at one point, and that led to him acting all entitled. In our 4th spot today, we have Selena Gomez. Of course, she had to be on this list. The two were in an on and off again relationship for quite some time, and fans loved them together. In fact, many people thought that they were endgame, but as we later found out, their relationship was not the healthiest. After their final breakup in 2018, Selena Gomez revealed that the relationship consisted of emotional abuse, and he had really hurt her, and it took her a while to grow out of the victim mentality. Moving on to number 3, we have Orlando Bloom. All right, this is probably the one that you all have been waiting for. Orlando Bloom and Justin Bieber definitely do not like each other. Maybe things have changed with time, but for quite a while, they did not like each other. It all started when rumors began to fly about Bieber getting close to Bloom's ex-wife, Miranda Kerr. Some even said that the two hooked up. Then Bieber's ex, Selena Gomez, was spotted with Orlando Bloom, and apparently the two made out. When Bieber and Bloom encountered each other, apparently Bieber made some comments about Miranda Kerr, which Bloom did not like, and at that point he jumped over a sofa and lunged at Bieber. Then apparently punches were thrown, but they were never landed. And then apparently Leonardo DiCaprio was just present and witnessed this whole fight and was cheering for Bloom. Like, that's just wild. Coming in at number 2, we have Eminem. Eminem decided to show his disdain for Bieber by including him in his song, A Kiss. He talks about God not giving a damn about Justin Bieber. That's the he's referring to in the song. So the lyrics go, "He's allergic to divas, he'd take meat cleavers to him. He don't give a damn about Bieber doing. What a demon, a behemoth, evil just seems to be seething through him." Okay, Eminem, okay. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Bill Hader. I honestly can't imagine this guy having drama with anyone. But alas, Justin hosted Saturday Night Live one time, and Bill had a lot to say about it. Apparently, Bieber showed up with a 20-person team to set. He said, and I quote, "He had a guy holding a piece of pizza, a guy holding a Diet Coke, and going around stage, you're trying to fight through all these people to get dressed." A year later, in another interview, he said, and I quote, "I really didn't enjoy having Justin Bieber around. He's the only one who lived up to the reputation. I think that's the only time I felt that way in 8 years. That is insane."
On number 8, Hilary Duff. It was a feud to end all Disney feuds. There's nothing worse than 2 teen girls fighting over a boy, because you know how messy that can get. This is what happened between Hilary Duff and Lindsay Lohan during their years-long feud over Aaron Carter. Their feud first started in 2001 when Aaron Carter was on the set of Lizzie McGuire. The two met and hit it off, and they started dating for a bit. But Aaron was also dating Lindsay Lohan at the same time. They both had relationships with Aaron for a little over a year, and after they both ended things with him, they both both could have just gone their separate ways, but oh no, of course not. Instead, they had a public feud that consisted of both girls crashing each other's film premieres and talking about each other in the media. They antagonized each other for years before deciding that they were too old for their squabbles. Though this wasn't a huge controversial scandal, it was still a big thing for a while to see two Disney darlings at each other's throats like that. They were low-key shady, and all because of a boy. The fact that this feud lasted so long can kind of say a lot about Lindsay and how competitive she is and how she isn't afraid to hold a grudge.
When I heard that Lindsay was going to be on Saturday Night Live, I knew she was going to make fun of me. I wasn't honored. I don't think it's an honor to be made fun of on Saturday Night Live. I'm not here to talk bad about her like she talks bad about me all the time, and I just knew that it was going to happen.
At number 7, Paris Hilton. What happens when two hotshot celebrities get into a confrontation? Things get messy. Because of a confrontation that happened back in the 2000s, Paris Hilton has made her hatred for Lindsay Lohan quite apparent. This all happened after Lindsay was seen hanging around Paris's ex-boyfriend. A couple weeks later, after Lindsay and Paris's ex were seen together, Paris made some pretty crude comments about Lindsay in a video that was seen as pretty cruel because of the nature of her comments. Even years after this whole incident, Paris still wasn't letting up in regards to her hatred towards Lindsay. In 2019, when she was on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, Paris was asked to use 3 words to describe her former friend Lindsay, and in response she described her with the words beyond lame and embarrassing. This whole feud could have warned us about Lindsay because of how she and her former friend got along, but something tells me that there are some behind the scenes details that could change things.
Yeah. That's enough, man. That's enough. I'm sorry, Lindsay, what'd you say? What? Lindsay, Paris is a what? She's a cunt? Why is Paris a cunt? Alright, Lindsay, why is Paris a cunt?
Before we carry on with the video, I want you guys to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 6, Kim Kardashian. Speaking of Paris Hilton and her hatred towards Lindsay Lohan, let's talk about Paris's former assistant Kim K and how she isn't too fond of the former Disney actress either. Now, Kim's hatred towards Lindsay wasn't as apparent as Paris's until 2018 when some comments were made under one of Kim's posts. Kim posted a photo of her wearing braids, and as a result she was called out for cultural appropriation by her fans as well as Lindsay Lohan, who commented under the post saying, quote, "I'm confused." In response, Kim replied saying, quote, "You know what's confusing? Your sudden foreign accent." End quote. Lindsay spoke out about Kim's comment, saying that as an actress, sometimes she picks up different accents when she plays roles, and she revealed the thoughts behind the confusion regarding Kim's post, saying, quote, "I was just confused by the braids because she just had a baby." Very few people thought that this made any sense, but either way, after this little social media spat, these two celebrities have been at odds. Kim's post could have warned us about Lindsay inserting herself into situations and causing drama unnecessarily. At number 5, Avril Lavigne. Hollywood's Chateau Marmont is one of the hottest spots for celebrities. It is quite common to see celebrities at the Chateau Marmont, and this establishment just so happens to be the place where we learned that Avril Lavigne just isn't a huge fan of Lindsay Lohan. Back in 2010, Avril was at the bar in the Chateau Marmont with a group of friends when she noticed that Lindsay was also in the establishment. Lohan reportedly went over to Avril to say hello, but when she got up to her, Avril just lost it. A witness to the incident cited Avril saying to Lindsay, quote, "Get the hell out of my face, you're fake, you're a loser, I don't like false people, stay away from me and my friends." End quote. Apparently, Lindsay tried to yell back, asking Avril not to threaten her, and then later tried to get the Chateau Marmont security to throw her out, but this didn't end up working, and instead Lindsay was the one who ended up leaving the premises. This could have been a warning about some kind of secret feud between Avril and Lindsay. At number 4, The Masked Singer. Now, although this isn't just one celebrity, I had to include the cast and crew of the show The Masked Singer because they have their grievances with Lindsay Lohan, and their disliking towards the actress could have been a warning about how Lindsay acts behind the scenes, as well as her desperation to get a gig in the entertainment industry. Lindsay was once cast as a judge on the Australian version of The Masked Singer. Apparently though, she wasn't a good judge at all because she never knew who the people behind the mask were, since she wasn't familiar with the Australian celebrities. On top of that, some of the guests who have appeared on the show have spoken out about Lindsay and how she is known to hold up production for hours on end. Lindsay didn't end up lasting very long on the show and was promptly replaced. At number 3, Kate Moss. In the world of Hollywood, competition plays a huge part in the successes and failures of many people's careers. For Kate Moss, her hatred towards Lindsay Lohan had a lot to do with her competition with the actress. Kate was Hollywood's it girl back in the 90s, and about a decade later, Lindsay Lohan came in and overshadowed her. On top of their competition for the spotlight, they also apparently liked the same types of guys, and that also added fuel to the fire. Kate Moss's ex-husband also worked with Lindsay on some music back in the day, which Kate didn't like at all. In 2014, Lindsay moved to London temporarily for work and reportedly hooked up with Kate's ex, which, as you can imagine, didn't go over well. Kate has been known to rant about Lindsay and has some serious hatred for her. Kate's attitude towards Lindsay could have been a warning about how the spotlight can sometimes corrupt people, but that, I guess, could be argued for the both of them. At number 2, Paul Schrader. Paul Schrader is known for having written films such as Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, and First Reformed. He is also known for the 2013 film The Canyons, which became mainstream because of the cinematic debut of adult film star James Dean, and including graphic adult content of his co-star Lindsay Lohan. After wrapping up his work with Lohan, Schrader had spoken out about his grievances with the actor, saying that the experience of working with Lohan left him feeling irritated. He spoke out about how she would constantly fail to fulfill her publicity promises, how even after accommodations were made for the actress she would still be a no-show, and how she was generally unreliable. He told sources that he hired her when no one else would, but regretted that decision after seeing how little she cared about the production or the people working with her. This certainly could be seen as a warning to other Hollywood executives looking to hire Lindsay in the future. After hearing about Schrader's experience working with the actress, I doubt other people would want to hire Lindsay.
What is she like one-on-one? Because, I mean, we always see these stories about Lindsay, you know, falling off the rails and, you know, she's crashed her car and, you know, is she cool, like, one-on-one?
And finally, at number 1, Grant Bowler. Back in 2012, Lindsay starred in a film titled Liz and Dick, where she portrayed Elizabeth Taylor. The movie was about the scandalous relationship between Liz Taylor and Richard Burton. The film didn't do very well in regards to ratings, as critics said that the film was annoying to watch. But apparently it wasn't just annoying to watch, it was also annoying to film. Grant Bowler, who played Richard Burton in the film, spoke out about the filming process for Liz and Dick, saying, quote, "There were exercises in patience and there were exercises in tolerance," end quote. He said that it was Lindsay's stalling habits and her holding up the production for extended periods of time that caused him the most frustration. Once again, it could be argued that Grant warned us about Lindsay's work habits, which really doesn't make the actress look good in the eyes of Hollywood.
First up, we got Nicki Minaj. This feud between these two is so intense, it spilled over to real life, and the pair had an incredibly awkward moment at the VMAs. It started when Nicki tweeted in response to the nominations for the 2015 MTV VMA Awards. She was frustrated that she was not nominated for her video Anaconda. She said, quote, "When the other girls drop a video that breaks records and impacts culture, they get that nomination." As a side note, Taylor Swift ended up getting nominated that year and took Nicki's comment as a personal dig. However, her and Nicki did come to a truce after some time, when they discussed the real reason behind Nicki not getting nominated. At this point, you're probably wondering where Miley gets involved here. So a few weeks after Nicki's tweet, Miley did an interview with the New York Times where she spoke about Nicki's lack of nomination. Miley said, quote, "What I read sounded very Nicki Minaj, which if you know Nicki Minaj is not too kind. It's not very polite. I think there's a way that you speak to people with openness and love. You don't have to start this pop star against pop star war." This statement got tons of backlash, and it seemed that Miley was feeding into the angry black woman stereotype, along with saying that Nicki was too aggressive when speaking about her disappointment. Then things came to a head at the VMAs when Nicki came on stage to accept an award, and she directly called out Miley, who was hosting a part of the event. Nicki said, quote, "And now back to this bitch that had a lot to say about me in the press. Miley, what's good?" Miley added fuel to the fire in 2019 when she released a song called Catitude that included lyrics reading, "I love you Nicki, but I listen to Cardi." So clearly their relationship is still pretty tense. Liam Hemsworth and Miley Cyrus were in an on and off again relationship for a decade that included an engagement, marriage, and sadly a divorce. After the split, the pair were not on good terms, and sources reveal that Liam hated Miley afterwards. The bad blood apparently started when Miley moved on incredibly fast from their split. Quote, "Liam kinda takes a bad opinion of Miley at this point. He was really hurt by their separation." The pair split a few months before their official announcement, but Liam was shocked to see Miley out kissing Caitlyn Carter before the announcement was released. The photos of Miley and Caitlyn were leaked on August 9th of 2019, then Miley and Liam announced their divorce August 10th to make sure the public knew that Miley was not cheating. Sources close to Hemsworth say that the speed in which Miley started the new relationship with Caitlyn Carter and Cody Simpson left him hurt. A source claimed that they hadn't talked much after their split, and he was hurt that she moved on so fast. According to Page 6, Liam was blinded by the news of their separation, which was announced while he was in Australia. Taylor Swift. Nobody is quite sure if the feud between Taylor and Miley was real, but sources exposed that Taylor said some shady things about Miley following her infamous 2013 VMAs performance. The pair got close after Taylor had a cameo in the Hannah Montana movie, but afterwards Taylor distanced from Miley. A source told Life in Style in 2013 that Taylor publicly referred to Miley's VMA performance from that year as, quote, "grotesque and disgusting." disgusting. But Taylor's reps quickly clapped back at the lies, calling the report made up. But clearly Miley thought the shade was real, because she dished out some shade of her own in a 2015 interview with the New York Times, where she seemed to call out Taylor's girl squad. Miley said, quote, "I'm not trying to be in the squad. None of my friends are famous, and not because of any other reason, and I just like real people who are living real lives because I'm inspired by them." Next up, Katy Perry. Katy Perry threw some shade Miley's way after the pair shared a kiss in 2014. It's hard to tell if Katy was joking around or not, but Miley was very offended. When asked about their kiss, Katy said, quote, "God knows where that tongue has been. We don't know. That tongue is so infamous." This is clearly a reference to the fact that Miley was sticking her tongue out a lot and doing outlandish things like that around this time. Miley then clapped back on Twitter, writing, quote, "Girl, if you're worried where tongues have been, good thing your ex-boo is your ex-boo, cause we all know where that tongue has been." This was in reference to Katy's ex, John Mayer, who definitely has a reputation for being a ladies' man, if you know what I mean. Next up, Taylor Momsen. Taylor Momsen rose to fame on the hit show Gossip Girl, playing Jenny Humphrey, who was a cute, non-threatening character in the show. But over time, Taylor changed a ton and started to resent the family-friendly image that she portrayed on TV. During a 2010 interview with FHM, Momsen spoke of how she was up for the role of Hannah Montana, but ended up losing it to Miley. But she said that was for the best and she's happy about how things worked out, but decided to throw some serious shade Miley's way in the process. Momsen said, quote, "I'm not looking to be Miley effing Cyrus. I don't care about the fame, I do it because I love music. I'm not dissing Miley personally, however I do think the Disney bubblegum shit that the world is living right now is pathetic. I thought we passed that repression. I don't know Miley, but musically we're different. To compare us because of our age is silly." Miley never responded to the shade, but it's clear that Taylor is either very bitter or just really hates Miley. Next up, Cher, if you can believe it. Cher did not hold back with her criticism of Miley's 2013 VMAs performance, where she danced around the stage in a latex bikini and danced on Robin Thicke. When asked her opinions on the performance, Cher straight up said it was terrible. Cher said, quote, "I'm not old-fashioned. She could have come out naked if she just rocked the house. I would have said, you go girl. It just wasn't done well." Adding, quote, "She can't dance. Her body looked like hell. The song wasn't great. One cheek was hanging out, and chick, don't stick your tongue out if it's coated." Cher continued that it might have all been a publicity stunt to get people talking about Miley and her new look, but it seems that after reflecting on the comments, Cher actually regretted what she said, and said she was ashamed that she threw that much shade at Miley. Although Cher clarified that she does not apologize for what she said, and says she feels the next time she will just not share her opinions. Jodie Sweetin. Miley was called out by Jodie Sweetin's fans in 2016 after Miley posted a throwback picture showing Jodie partying, which was insensitive considering Jodie publicly came out as sober since that photo was taken. Although Miley was probably trying to share a sweet moment, Jodie's fans felt it was very insensitive that Miley was reminding Jodie of this unfortunate time in her life when she was struggling. When E! News asked Jodie about the photo, she took the high road, saying, quote, "I don't pay attention to the negative stuff. I have so much good stuff going in my life right now that I try not to pay attention." After all the heat, Miley edited the caption to read, "Current mood, hashtag Fuller House, only you freaks take this as shaming. To me it looks like Stephanie is having an effing gay old time." So clearly Miley did not understand the criticism and defended the photo as the pair were having a good time. Shanae Grimes. Following the release of Miley's viral music video for Wrecking Ball, Shanae Grimes called out Miley on Twitter, saying she needs to bathe after the gross video. Grimes tweeted, quote, "What the F is up with Miley's new music video? I mean, I don't know the girl, but if I did, I demand she bath twice, put on some clothes, and give her a big hug. She looks like she needs it." But that was not all. Grimes' husband, Josh Beach, also chimed in shading her music video and saying that Miley needs to be very wary of how her young fans will take it. Beach wrote in his blog, quote, "Miley's got a new video and to be honest, I like the song. The video is maybe a bit unnecessary considering her fans are aged between 10 and 12, but whatever floats your boat, I guess." Next up, Ed Sheeran. Following Miley's MTV VMA performance with Robin Thicke, Ed shared his very critical thoughts about Miley's dance moves. In an interview with The Mirror, Ed Sheeran referred to her dancing as stripper moves and not appropriate for her audience. Then when asked about her Wrecking Ball music video, Ed replied, quote, "Twerking is what exotic dancers do, it's a fact. If you go to an adult club, they twerk. You shouldn't be encouraging little kids to dance like that. If I had a daughter of mine, I wouldn't want her doing that." Adding, quote, "When I first heard Wrecking Ball, I thought it was a brilliant song, but the video distracts too much from it." But apparently after Sheeran said those strong words about Miley, he regretted it and wants to apologize for what he said to her. While speaking to Howard Stern, Ed said that he was pretty drunk from an after party when reporters came up and asked him about Miley. At the time, he thought he told Miley to stop with the raunchy dancing everything in a nice way, but he got tons of anxiety when he realized that he was really mean to her. He added, quote, "I said something along the lines of, 'Your voice is amazing, your songs are amazing, it just stopped working.' I didn't say it in the nicest way, and I do genuinely love her music and think her voice is great." But it seems that Miley did not accept his apology, because at the time he said some really rude stuff. While Miley was talking about her newest project at the time, Malibu, Billboard asked if her new album is, quote, "pretty singer-songwriter-y, no?" Cyrus replied, quote, "Yeah, but not granola. I don't listen to Ed Sheeran and John Mayer and stuff." So